Okay, good afternoon, everyone. The purpose of this presentation is to show the effects of augmentative communication on extreme aggressive behavior of children with autism. In the next slide, we discuss the purpose of this study. The purpose of the study was to look at the effects of picture exchange on preschool students diagnosed with autism who observed aggressive behaviors. Research questions that the case study focused on are augmentative and alternative communication strategies an effective tool in reducing challenging behaviors in children with disabilities? How effective are they in helping students diagnosed with autism? And can augmentative and alternative communication strategies assist in speech acquisition, increase communication attempts? On the second slide, we look at the participants and setting. This whole case study was conducted in a general education preschool classroom. The class consisted of 12 students, one student with disabilities, which the case study mainly focuses on, one teacher, and two paraprofessionals. The study took place during the students' everyday routine, therefore not interrupting what the expectations of the students were. Their daily routine was a large group setting in the morning where they did their morning meeting. And then as the day progressed, they just broke up into smaller groups of 3 to 4 students where they had 4 permanent centers that the students would rotate through. The centers used were manipulatives, home living, sand play, and puzzles. The study was conducted in 2 of the 4 centers. The observers that conducted this case study with Tim chose to use manipulatives and home living. They found that those were the 2 centers that he most enjoyed and felt most comfortable in. Therefore, they felt they could get the most information out of him in those centers. The study centered around a student named Tim, and the manipulatives that he was offered in both of these settings was the first was he had the opportunity to build structures such as roads, buildings, use cars and trucks, and this helped to focus on children using their imagination, as well as exercising tactile exercises. Students in home living were provided a kitchen setting where there was an oven, a sink, kitchen counters, food, and they could pretend to play in a house-like setting with other peers. The method used was Tim, the boy that they focused on, was a 4-year-old nonverbal student diagnosed with autism. Assessments: Tim's intelligence level is in the moderate range of a cognitively disabled individual. Tim displays aggressive behavior towards adults and like peers, such as hitting, kicking, and biting. Behaviors are similar at home and in school. 3 behavioral assessments were conducted by a behavior analyst, and the results convey no particular social setting to be the cause of Tim's aggression. Therefore, the studies indicated that Tim preferred to react in an aggressive manner due to the behaviors maintained to stimulation more than anything else, and it's just they couldn't find one particular reason of why Tim was reacting out. Analysis. Multiple baseline design was implemented. Picture exchange was taught and first used when Tim was in the home living center. Every time Tim observed a reaction, a picture exchange was implemented through manipulative play activities. Observers were looking for Tim to display joint attention, so for Tim to make eye contact with a picture and then the student or adult who he was communicating back and forth with or playing with. Daily, Tim was observed for approximately 10 minutes. Eventually, 1-hour teaching sessions were conducted consecutively in a 2-day time frame, and procedures used 1 through 3 of the picture exchange communication system. Data recorded number of occurrences of aggressive behavior and the number of picture communication responses. Analysis continued. In the beginning, Tim sat at a table and was prompted to use a picture to help assist him in communicating, either by the observer, the teacher, or the paraprofessional. When Tim reached for an item, he was physically prompted to make an exchange prior to the reinforcement. So they physically said, "Do you want a cracker?" And then he was forced to use that picture exchange, use the picture, and give that to the person that he was socializing with. Verbal responses were used for the first few trials. Eventually, only open hand prompts were used. And as the study progressed, prompts used to assist Tim stopped. They found that independently, Tim eventually displayed those exchanges, and Tim was later responsible for learning to look for the picture board to make a request, such as I want a cracker, I want this particular type of juice. Results found were Tim's aggressive behavior decreased after the strategy of picture communication was introduced. The study displayed two graphs. The top graph displayed how Tim exhibited disruptive behavior, and the bottom showed the picture exchange across classroom activities. And the top graph shows how his aggressive behavior from the beginning was occurred much more, and then as the study went on, less and less aggressive behavior was shown. Before the picture exchange, Tim exhibited around 4.0 occurrences of aggression or more, and after implementing picture exchange, Tim displayed little to no aggression. Similar findings were found during manipulative centers. And the implications of the study: this particular study demonstrated the possible effectiveness of using picture exchange to assist students with disabilities to have the skills to better communicate, and therefore reducing the amount of times aggressive behavior was used. Although positive results occurred, further research must be conducted on larger playing fields to determine how augmentative communication strategies can more accurately be implemented into a behavior support program. So therefore, Tim was a great starter, but whether this study would help all students with autism or other types of disabilities needs to be further studied, because each student is individual. Impact on student learning. During the onset of the study, the school was concerned about Tim's intense behavioral outbursts. Therefore, the district communicated to Tim's parents that if his outbursts did not get under control, that Tim would no longer be able to attend their program. Although the case study did not focus particularly on clear communicative skills, the introduction of picture exchange was successful in reducing Tim's aggressive outbursts. The study hypothesizes that a possible reduction in Tim's outbursts could be due to several factors. The first was giving Tim the ability to apply choice and having more control in particular situations. It also could be that it was due to the reinforcement through augmentative means that reduced the outbursts. And prior to this study, because Tim's behaviors were so aggressive and extreme, he had very little play interaction with his peers. And because of the study, he was able to be involved in play, and therefore that could be a possible reason of reducing those behaviors and therefore allowing Tim to remain in the program. Thank you very much, and this concludes my presentation.